Welcome to Real Life with Laurie. I am your host, Laurie Miggins, and today we have a special guest, Dr. Yasmilde. She found us through one of our mutual Facebook groups, and I was delighted to see because she is now my second guest, who I don't know personally, but when I read her bio, I was eager to get on the show with her because of all the successes you've had in life, and I'm sure it's been a challenge to get through each one of these successes and the amount of hard work that you put into it. But thank you so much, Dr. Yasmilde, for being on the show and for taking the time out of your day today for being here. I really appreciate it. So, Dr. Yasmilde, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, Laurie, thank you very much. I believe that what you're doing is a very good thing, especially in these times that people need inspiration and motivation to move and accomplish things. And well, what I can tell you about me, I'm Cuban. I was born in Cuba 48 years ago. And from very early on, I was very interested in helping. And what came to me then was that I needed to become a scientist. I was very inspired by what was going on the country at that time. And so I purposely and intentionally started to do that. On that route, I accumulated 4 scientific degrees, so 3 of them in Cuba, the last one here is a PhD in neuroscience. And here means the University of Ottawa.
Okay.
I worked on that field for about 15 years until I decided that my path in life was slightly different and changed what I do now. I describe myself as a scientist and a healer. I have a private practice where I see people, help people using things like energy healing, meditation, mindfulness exercises, and so forth.
Wow, that is incredible. So basically you had taken a leap from academia almost into like the holistic world of healing, which, I mean, even in the holistic world, there's a lot of science behind it. So having both parties it's almost a plus for any of your clients, which is great. Thank you so much for being who you are and putting that out into the world. That's incredible.
Well, I actually feel guilty sometimes when people say that, because I take so much pleasure out of it that it doesn't feel like an effort and a big jump. But
that's when you know that you're in your right line of work, when you wake up and excited about getting to work. And you're like, no, this is play. It's incredible. So,
exactly.
Yasmilde, what are a few things that you want to discuss about, the challenge, because we talk about the challenges on the show and how we overcome, and what are the things that you want to talk about today regarding that?
So there are 2 things that come to mind when I talk about challenges in my life. Like the first big one was coming to Canada from Cuba. I was already 31 when that happened. I already had a career in Cuba, and coming here, so immigrating is a huge thing.
It's a huge thing. Sure. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think that many Canadians have experienced. And so because of that, it was hard, but because I had this commitment to be of service, to do something, to help and integrate in society, then that I overcame that and integrated. And like I mentioned before, I started through the academia route that way, met incredible people that way. And because it is so common here, I thought that it was best that I talk about the second challenge. And that one we already pointed at too, because after 30 years of dedicating my life to science, biological sciences, I decided to leave that on one side and became a full-time healer. And that was the one that I wanted to talk about a little bit, because it is not only a big shift in appearance, but it is also a shift from the point of view that I went from academia into being an entrepreneur, which has a bunch of challenges on its own. So the way I put it to people is that it was actually a no-brainer of a decision when it actually happened. The reason was because everything I had done up to that time, including the immigration, but I lost my mom to cancer when I was 30. I went through 3 divorces. The degrees in science is something that demands a lot of your time and your effort. You sacrifice a bunch of things along the way. And I did it thinking that I was serving a cause, and that turned out not to exist for other people. So huge disappointment in my life that way. So I came to a point when I had, in appearance, a stable career because I was working at the university as a professional research manager. But I was extremely sick. I was suffering from several chronic disease, digestive issues, circulatory issues, sinuses, and respiratory issues, and all of them chronic. Like I had been battling them for a very long time, including huge muscular problems on the start of my right side that sometimes would numb my hands and my fingers. And every time I would go to my doctor, I could even cry. I mean, it was so frustrating. But the one answer that she would have for me was, well, when are you going to slow down? when is your level of stress is going to come down? Because that's what all of it is related to. Mm-hmm. And so there was this one day that I probably can pinpoint in a calendar that I woke up, I said, enough of being sick and being tired, and enough of being unhappy. I'm done with that. And I found out that when you get those kind of aha moments that bring you to a point of decision in your life, then you start attracting the solutions. And that's exactly what happened. I started meeting people that mentor me through it. I discovered energy. I started training as a Reiki practitioner then. Immediately during that process, and I went through that at the speed of light. Okay, I found that I had this natural proclivity for it. It came relatively easy to me, and then I immersed myself in it. And at the same time, I trained on a bunch of other approaches to energy healing. I started meditating, and that was a huge change in my life. And one day I found out that I had been healing myself, my childhood, all of those experiences, my physical illness disappeared. And one day I just woke up and said, oh my God, I had always been a healer. People had always come to me for solutions and suggestions about their life situations. And so I realized that all that sense of service that made me decide when I was 13 that I was going into science, what allowed me to make a commitment to this newfound, profession, to say somehow, that I would help more being a healer than staying in academia. And so I did it. And every practice, that's how I not only made the shift, but that I had succeeded at it. It was because everything I learned on how to heal myself, how to keep myself positive and engaged, I still practice. And it is actually something that I teach my clients. So that's my mission as a healer, is now guide people through the same thing I went through. So instead of that taking them a bunch of years, like it did me, like 3 or 4, now in about 6 to 8 months, they can reach extremely high levels of happiness, even understanding of their lives and their purpose, and what does it take to grow.
That's
That is,
incredible.
thank you. That is not only about surviving. It's not only about coping. It's about growing, thriving, expanding, discovering who you are, bringing that passion into the world. And so changing the world one person at a time. That's
I love it.
very
That's
much.
beautiful. That's great. I definitely agree with you that there is we're all given these beautiful gifts that a lot of us don't even know that we have them. And it's so awesome that there are people like you out there to help people when they're ready to step into their greatness, to be able to guide them and go through the process and be able to know what their life purpose is and to achieve that greatness. That's wonderful. And, being able to recover from what you said, your childhood or different situations or maybe ailments in their life, that's awesome. So,
Yeah.
wow.
And that's why what I do is so rewarding.
Of course.
It's rewarding at different levels. It's not only that I'm a permanent student. I definitely learn about life and what I do through my clients, but it's also about seeing people's life change. It's a privilege that I treasure.
That's an incredible way to look at it. I can't even think of like a better way. It's like a privilege to see people experience that. It's when you've got a person who definitely has a heart of service. When you're like, it's a privilege to be able to be part of their journey and be able to see
most definitely.
Yeah, that's insane. Well, good. That's great. So, what made you like you said the life of purpose and stuff? Actually, no. My question actually is, how do you incorporate what you've learned from your like academia past into your now found passion for this whole awesome new career that you're working with?
Well, every time somebody tells me, but that was a huge jump, right, from science to esoteric stuff, and I said, well, actually, it wasn't. There is a lot of science behind what I do, and because I have both perspectives, then it comes easy to explain people that used to separate both science here and woo-woo stuff this side, just to make a little bit of a bridge and to help them understand that no, there is a lot of evidence out there. There's a lot of research behind it. There is a science that explains everything I do, and that would be quantum physics. And so when I work with clients, I always put both things together. I give them the science or part of the science with it. I always give them references if they want to review more of what is happening on that sense. And that alongside the personal practices, the things you can do in your life to bring health into your mental, emotional, and physical experience. So having those 30 years in science then made that easy, because it's something I used to do before. It's talking science to people that are not familiar with it. But now I do both things, just science and energy, to people that are not familiar with any of the terminology. And I think that's a neat group of people that need to hear about this.
Yeah, I'm a nerd by nature, if you will. So I love hearing like the science behind everything. I mean, it gets to the point where my daughter wants to grow up and be a physicist, where it's a heavy hitter in our home, and to know the science behind something that like, I'm also a huge believer in spiritual healing and energy healing. So, being able to connect with somebody like yourself who has a history on both sides, you would be one of the people I would be more drawn to having that experience with as a client, because you would be able to give that information to people and be able to explain it, and then have the evidence back would be pretty cool to be able to understand the dynamic of it. Well, thank you so much for being on and explain the challenges you've been through, and obviously the hard work and the effort that you put into, you know, doing that transition, overcoming. What is one thing that you do daily for yourself that helps you live a healthy lifestyle?
Meditate. That is a no-brainer. Is the ultimate tool for full, not only healing, but growth. Meditation. It's something I use daily. It's something I teach people, guide them through. It is the bridge between your intellectual capacity and your physical human experience with your spiritual capacity and the fact that we are part of something much, much bigger than ourselves.
I love you. I just got all these little sprinkles all over me. That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today. And like I said, I'll be making sure this is uploaded to our podcast and make sure that everybody gets to know the information that you've been sending out to us. So thank you so much, Dr. Yasmilde, for being on the show today. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And I hope everybody has a blessed day.
It's been a pleasure. Have a great day, everybody.
You too. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.